Good evening, man. Welcome to the Juicebox Heroes podcast. I'm one of your hosts, PK, and as always, we have what do we have today? We have Homer Chris. Homer Chris.
Yes, I did listen to the last episode where apparently I got a new name, so I figured it was only fitting to update it.
Yeah, so Homer Chris is with us. Bryles is not with us tonight. He'll be back with us on the next episode. But Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everyone had a fantastic New Year's Eve. Everyone was safe, popping fireworks and celebrating with family and friends. Chris, how's everything at the Homer Chris household?
Oh man, everything's good. I mean, like again, appreciate you guys holding it down. Yeah, we went through the whole gauntlet of people being sick that started Christmas Eve. It lasted all the way until about I want to say Tuesday. Finally, a couple of days ago, everybody got healthy. But yeah, man, um, everything went well. I mean, it's crazy living, where we live in League City, because literally, if you want to see a fantastic, badass fireworks show, now we just got to go out in the front yard because everybody and their grandmas is going off. It reminded me of like back in the day when we used to go to the Astrodome park or Astroworld parking lot and watch the fireworks. So yeah, man, everything was good. Glad to be back. And PK, how's everything going with you?
Going well, going well. We had a good, really uneventful New Year's Eve. I mean, look, I typically don't stay up late to bring it in these days. Did stay up late last night for it, but it was good. No one was sick, so that was even better. Then today's has been a lot of college football on. It's a lot of great games. But yeah, man, let's get into this. Wake up this morning, and I'm out. Look, I'm watching game day, and I'm trying to flip back and forth from MLB Network as they were showing champagne celebrations from previous World Series winners, and so I was watching that because when I turned it on, they showed the Nationals closing it out at Minute Maid. They showed the Braves closing it out at Minute Maid, and I'm like, okay, cool. How about the 17 and 22 Astros? Feel free to show that, right? Um, and they did. They were going to commercial to show it, and then I started watching something else, and I never made it back. But in that process of doing that is when I saw the ticker, and the tickers talked about or reported that the Astros signed. Now I'm probably going to butcher this. Tatsuya Imai
I like it. I mean, that's what I'm going to roll with. So
to 3 year $63 million contract with opt outs out after every year. The guaranteed money is 3 years, 53. The incentives in those deals will take it up to 63, and that's going to be based on innings pitched and so forth. So big news. I sent it to you and Bryles today, and I know there's been a lot of reporting on it. A lot of podcasts have gone out and talked about it. But this is a instant boost to our starting rotation. In previous episodes, we've talked about the Astros needing to get more starting pitching. Right, you did the Mike Burrows deal, the 3-team deal. Right, you have Arrighetti coming back off of an injury. Wisniewski coming back at some point off of injury. You also have Weiss that you signed earlier in the offseason, right? And then this guy, mid-90s fastball. And we're going to get into his stats in a minute. We're just going to kind of cover that. Mid-90s fastball, a lot of swing and miss. And for our listener, Dodger Mike, Imai has come out and said well before today, right, that even though playing on a team like the Dodgers with all the Japanese players would be fun, he wants to play on a team that beats the Dodgers and winning a World Series. So in my book, he's already an Astro, even before the signing, right? So big news. Chris, what are your thoughts on it? Let's get into this thing.
yeah, man. I mean, so basically, when finally saw your text, I was actually out cutting the yard, and that's why you got to love living in Houston and the surrounding areas. Most other places, they've still got snow on the ground. What are we doing? I'm out there cutting the yard. Yeah, I mean, like I was kind of like shocked. I mean, because I know that we've always kind of talked about, throughout the years that we've been doing this, like we've always kind of said, hey, the Astros need to like kind of make that dip into the Japanese or the Asian markets. Um, and then like because it always kind of seemed it was always that kind of cluster of teams. It was the Angels, Dodgers, Seattle, and every now and then you get like the Cubs or somebody like that. I mean, so yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's a great signing to do. Like again, I'm not super pumped about it being a bunch of 1-year deals essentially,
Mhm.
but I mean, like, you got to do what you got to do to get the ink on the dotted line, as they say. So, um, yeah, I mean, like, you know, from everything, because like basically I stopped cutting the yard for a second because I'm like, oh man, I got to look this stuff up and see what this kid can do. His fastball touches 99. This is a guy that I know that in the few graphics I've seen throughout the day, they've had him pasted as the number 3 starter.
Mhm.
I do think that you can kind of flip flop him and Christian Javier, just kind of think like if this kid can, and I say kid, he's 26, 27, but if he can realize some of that potential that we've seen in the Japanese league, I mean, he could be a pretty nasty 1-2 with Hunter Brown. You know, but like, so again, my first when I first saw the news, saw that your text message, and I was just kind of like, holy crap, they actually did it. I mean, like, nice. And then, then I got into like looking up the stats and stuff like that. But like, then it was just like, okay, well, so Imai joins. He is now one of 3 Astros throughout the Astros history that they have signed that have played that are Japanese born players. However, this is their very first, to my knowledge, it's their very first player they've actually signed that was posted. So,
Mhm.
also, like I think I read somewhere too, like with this signing, with all the incentives this coming season, he can make like the Astros could pay up to 30 million because they'll have to pay the posting fee to the. I think he played for the Lions
Yes,
over
the
there in
Lions.
Japan. So
Shibu or something like that. But yes.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, like again, it's one of those signings that again, the entire city's buzzing right now. Everyone's like, it was one of those signings that I know there's a handful of people that talked about, hey, why don't look at this guy Imai? But again, it was just like one of those things that it's not really the things that the Astros kind of really did. It was never really their blueprint of like, hey, let's go after these players that are overseas, bring them over. So for them to do that, I mean, like, you'd have to think that, this is an opportunity for the Astros to hopefully continue that. And now it opens the door to other Japanese players that eventually come out over the next handful of seasons or years. And, no longer uh, the Dodgers, the Yankees, or any of them are no longer considered a landed place, but now Houston's on their name in the hat as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have a message group on X with several guys in the podcast world, and I kind of rhetorically put a question out there because I kind of saw it on X a year ago today. They announced the renaming of Minute Maid to Daikin, right? A Japanese leader in air conditioning. For where me and Chris work, that is one of our competitors, so we hear about these guys quite often. But it was a huge deal, right? We didn't understand it at the time because we have the memories of the juice box and Minute Maid and like all the things that have happened in that stadium, even the bad things from Enron, right? And so there was a lot of I remember there being a lot of talk about why are we changing the name, right? And of course it comes down to dollars, right? I mean, they did a 15-year deal, a lot of money, right? So a year ago today that happens. And on the same anniversary, if you want to call it, of the naming rights being changed, the Astros go and do something that they've never done before, which, like you mentioned, go out and get a player that was posted. Now, the other 2 guys that had played in the Astros organization that were from Japan were Kazmatsui and Nori, I think Aoki, I believe is who it was, right?
Oh, and Kikuchi as well. So maybe there was
Okay,
4.
so 4. So 4 and Kikuchi. Um, but again, this goes back to the first time the Astros have gone and gone after a player that was posted. And so those correlations, you can't deny them, right? And that was kind of the question slash comment I put in our thing. And I think one guy he kind of told me, he's like, think about it, juice box. And I was like, no, I know, like I know. I was just kind of putting that out there. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, man. I think this is going to be kind of the future of what the Astros can go and get. I think it shows the fan base from an owner's perspective that, hey, we are a team that can go and get these players that are posting. It is not, like you said, it's not just about the California teams or the New York teams or every now and again a Chicago team, whether it's the Cubs or White Sox. We saw what the White Sox went and did with the other guy. I'm not going to try to say his name either, right? But
I think you should.
I don't even know it because of the M's, 2 M's, first name and last name. But I think it's awesome. You're right. The fan base is buzzing. This dog that we got this stupid little squeaker toy, and it's like 6 8 inches long. It has a damn squeaker, and so all she does is run around the house with it. So I apologize, but this is just going to be the future for what the Astros can do. Another thing that you talked about were all the opt-out clauses. I don't remember Crane ever, liking that format for any player, right? I mean, he wants to lock them in 5 years, full control, right? We don't want these opt-outs, because it doesn't give you the, what's the word? It doesn't give you the, let's just say warm and fuzzies that this player is going to be here for that long. And the same with this guy.
Hey, you're muted. I got you. You're muted.
No, I know. I'm trying to do something
Okay.
here. So it sets the footprint for going forward, right? Where we can go get these players. Crane's going to go outside of his box, outside of his comfort level, and sign these players that have these opt-outs. So I also have seen that he's been penciled in as kind of a 3. I agree. It's a 2 or 3 between Javier and him. The starting rotation, salary-wise, is like $45 million right now for the entire pitching staff, starting pitching. Hunter Brown's at like 5.5, right? And then you have Javier, Arrighetti, now Imai, right? And any number. Then you have McCullers in there is probably going to be the highest one. But like you're not like you have a kind of a plethora of starting pitching at the current moment, whether they're injured or not, right? I mean, you've got Blanco that's hurt, Wozniacki's coming back, JP France potentially, right, who showed some signs at the end of the season from coming back. You've got some depth at starting pitching. But this guy, man, I'm really excited to see. Let me give you some stats from the last 3 years. I think Chris has some also, but these are the last 3 years for Tatsuma. So in 23, he had pitched 19 games, had a 2.30, 133 innings, 130 Ks, and 61 walks. In 24, 25 games at a 2.34, 173 in a third, 187 and 70. And then last year, 24 games, and this was huge, 1.92 ERA in 25 games. He pitched 163 2/3 innings with 178 Ks and 45 walks. So K's down a little bit, but the walks were just about cut in half over the same amount of games, and his ERA dropped. So that's the type of pitcher, that we're getting, right? And it just makes our rotation just look absolutely mean. If he lives up to what we expect him to, this puts the Astros in 2026 right back as a AL contender for sure.
No, I agree. I think the buzz is rightly warranted. And that's the big thing that basically to wrap up what you're saying. I mean, like his last 3 seasons, his strikeouts per 9 I think went up, while his walks per 9 went down, and that's a fantastic sign to see. But as far as like him, where he's going to be in the rotation, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time to figure that out. I mean, we're 50 days away from spring training. So, the main thing is that, like you said, it has generated a buzz. And I also agree. I think it does take the Astros and puts them right back in the swing of things with as far as favorites for the division. I mean, now, does this sign-in mean that they have a better rotation than, let's say, Seattle? No, I don't think so. But I do think if your roster is healthy and you don't go through all the injuries you have last year, I think you can win that division by anywhere from 5 to 7 games. I mean, so there's a lot to like from this signing, and again, like am I a super fan of like the 1-year deals? No, because you give the player all the power. So if Imai goes out there and he balls out, more than likely he's going to opt out and then go try to go get a bigger contract. What I'm hoping in a perfect world, butterflies, unicorns, he balls out and then he just falls in love with the city and wants to stay here. I mean, that would be fantastic too. Hopefully Crane gets it done and gives him another type of extension. But like again, it's one of those things that like, um, because I watched the episode that you guys did on Sunday. I believe it was Sunday, the one I wasn't there for,
Hmm.
and y'all basically did the grades for the how the off season was going so far, and then that was one of the clips that I used on TikTok just to kind of see kind of what the feel was. And there was a lot of people that commented and said, "Oh, I'd give them an F minus, F minus." I think the highest grade I saw was a D minus, and and it really kind of got me thinking because it's like, okay, I mean, like what are in my opinion, what am I seeing? And it just, it kind of real quickly, it just kind of goes to show that, they don't have, this isn't 2019 where you have Korea or 2015, we have Korea coming up and you were able to let George Springer walk because you had Tucker coming up. So I think what they're trying to do is like, you saw the trade last year for Kyle Tucker. They're trying to rebuild those guys coming up through controllable younger players that are already major league ready instead of going for. I'm sure they could have got a massive package with a bunch of double A players that we won't even see for the next couple of years as far as in the Tucker trade. So, and I guess that's kind of like when I thought that, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to earn this Homer Chris, montage here. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would like to think what the general field is now after this signing. I mean, does this go from an F minus to a B plus? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. Like, but it definitely like like it. I mean, my biggest concern up until today was going to be right now the Texans are hot. Like they're on a crazy run right now. The Rockets are killing it. I mean, as far as trying to maintain the interest of that the Astros have maintained over this whole run, this is not really the time that you kind of want to just you know go with the flow because like you can interest can drop off real quick if you're halfway through this season coming up and you're at 500 or a few games under. But it's just kind of crazy how the whole landscape kind of shifted with one sign in for a
Hmm.
pitcher that hasn't even thrown one pitch in the major leagues. And I think that's it for me that's kind of awesome because it's like you bring in this pitcher from Japan, all the stats look on it are super sexy stats. And it's just like we went from, oh man, man, hopefully everybody stays injured or sorry, hopefully
Yeah,
everyone
let's not do that.
stays yeah, yeah. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, doesn't get injured, and maybe we can, get on a run late in the season to where it's like, man, now our rotation's legit. I
Yeah.
mean, your rotation's going to be Brown, potentially Imai, Javier, somebody at number 4, whoever that's going to be. I can't remember. And
We
then you're
had
going to
like
have Burrow or
Arrighetti,
Arrighetti.
Burrows, and then
Then
they
you're going to
also had
have Burrows at
McCullers
5.
penciled in,
Yeah. So
which
you've now like just with all the signings that the Astros have done. This is now what I think their 4th pitcher. I think 3 of them are starters. So now you've created a bunch of depth. Now that so now do I feel like do they need to go rush out there and go trade somebody to get a bullpen piece? I mean, they don't have to. I mean, I think you slide some of those guys like McCullers. You let him have a whole spring of working on being a long innings guy. You still got AJ Blue Ball. You still
mhm.
got Colton Gordon. I mean, so um, like it's just kind of crazy how within like just 4 days from the last time we went live, is that the whole mentality of how this team is going to look has completely shifted. So I just found that pretty interesting, just how quickly things changed at the drop of a sign in.
Yeah, I saw something to go back to your point about a bullpen piece. I saw something today that so with this signing, the Astros are now 7 million under the CBT threshold, right? And so I don't know if the Astros are still done making moves. Is kind of what I'm getting at. That's kind of what this post was talking about. It did bring back up a Paredes or Walker move, right, to increase some of that money, right? That 7 million could still go get you a backup catcher potentially. I
Yeah,
mean,
good.
there's still I think there's still moves to be made, right? I mean, it is January 1, right? I think we talked about it, or you talked about it right before we went on. There's 50 days, right, until pitchers and catchers. Is that what you're saying? Or spring
No,
training?
I believe that's the first game. I mean, it could no because pitchers and catchers are
Us
February
14th.
13th, 14th, or
Yeah.
14th, and then the first game is the 20th.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we're
Yeah. So
50 days from
50
like
days
the first
away.
spring training game.
So I think there's still gonna be another small move to be made that I don't really see the Astros, going and making another. You've acquired a lot of starting pitching over this offseason, right? I think this was, we talked about it before, which was, the Mike Burrows deal was controllable play a piece. The Ryan Weiss, right, was another controllable piece. Young, right? They were mid-tier guys, right? This on paper would be a higher tier
Oh,
above those
absolutely.
guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think from a starting pitching standpoint, the Astros are probably done with their starting pitching addressing. Now I think it will focus to maybe some bullpen help, maybe a backup catcher. Um, and if something comes down the pipe for a Paredes Walker deal that blows them out the water to where they can acquire some prospects back, right? Then some of that. But I think from a starting pitching standpoint, this is probably it for the moves for starting pitching market for the Astros. But I do want to get into one thing. So let's go back to last week's episode. We did our grading. I think Bryles came in at a C minus, right? It was mostly about the lack of moves for him. I gave them a B minus. Maybe I should have the homer moniker
I
in front
think
of my
you should
name.
a B minus. I figured you would have been all poopy pants McGee. I figured you
Well,
would have been like D
and
plus
so
at the
my
best.
reasoning behind it was because you acquired these guys, you have now a lot of controllable players, right? And that's where I always sit with. I mean, I'm fairly conservative when it comes to the making of the moves, right? We know my history with the rentals and how I don't like that, right? You give up controllable players for a guy for 2.5 months who may or may not sign with you, but now you've given up some of your future, right? So my reasoning behind my B minus was not so much about the moves that were made or the guys that we acquired. It was about the guys we acquired, but it was more so about the controllable player aspect, right? Because you're building this organization with guys that are going to be around for, you know, 2, 3, 4 years, right? Before they get to, arbitration or hit free agency, whatever, right? So these you're going to have these guys. So that was my grade. So my question to you is, what would be your grade
Mm,
prior to today?
prior. Okay. I definitely I agree on the controllable players, and that's kind of like what I quickly went over earlier was the fact that like I think what they tried to do is they understood there is no player that's going to replace any of these players that are leaving. Like you're looking at like the Kyle Tucker thing. You brought in Cam Smith. Now I don't think everybody expected him to break through during spring training like he did, but they acquired Cam Smith because Cam Smith was gonna be their hey, it's okay, Tucker can go because we have Cam Smith, and that's going to be another 6 years of control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what you did also in Paredes as well. It's like okay, Bregman can go because we got Paredes for another 4 or 5 years. So I think what the Astros try to do is that they try to replace. They had to compensate for the lack of those draft picks that they didn't have those 2 years. So, and what they did is they did it via trade instead of like I said, they could have asked for a bunch of double A and single A players. Probably better. A handful of good prospects for Kyle Tucker. But hey, let's get a guy that can play now, and we still have him for another 4 or 5 years. So I feel like what they did was they bypassed these guys that they would have to see them progress through the system. Guys that had MLB experience, with the exception of Cam Smith, obviously. So like Burrows was another good one. I mean, Burrows
Mm-hmm.
was he's a guy you can control for another. It was like some stupid amount. It's like 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So and we kind of expected. I kind of expected like yes, I would have loved to see the Dylan Cease deal. But at the end of the day, looking at he got 7 years. Dylan Cease is like 32. Like, how many of those years on the back end of that contract are we going to be sitting here and be like, man, well, now we're going to basically he becomes a Jose Abreu situation where it's like now we've got him for 3 years and he's just eating cap for no reason, or
Well,
eating
you're paying
salary
you're
for no
paying
reason.
you're paying Dylan Cease 210 over 7 for 2 to 3 years
Yeah,
of
absolutely. So
max potential.
I mean, in a perfect world, yes, they would have went out there and got a fantastic, and like I honestly would probably put my grade leading up until today. I probably would have had them at like I would probably would have had it at it like a probably a C plus. So the fact that you rated them, you got gave them a better grade than I did, because my expectations for this offseason wasn't going to be, hey, we're going to go sign Kyle Tucker, Kyle Schwarber, and Bo Bichette. Boom, let's go. I mean, it was more like, okay,
Mhm.
they have some money come off the books, so let's see how they're going to utilize that money. Um, like a lot of people were heartbroken with the Dubon trade. I understood it. I mean, I'm not going to say that
Yeah.
you know, I mean, but I get it. I mean, you're not going to want to pay a utility guy, which I understand. Dubon for us was more than just a utility guy. I mean, he was basically, the 10th starter.
Mhm.
But like I said, I mean, it was just more of like, okay, so if you're kind of cutting money here, where are you applying that money? And that's kind of like why I was kind of like at a C plus, close to a B minus. I mean, if there was a middle ground between both of those, that's kind of where I sat. But it was just more of like, is this team, when healthy, a playoff team? Absolutely. Is this team, when healthy, is this a team that's going to go compete for a World Series? Maybe. I mean, but like it's not like the years prior, like 2019, 2022. That team was like, yeah, man, we were absolutely World Series favorites. It was just more of like I wanted them to make the proper improvements to not just be a playoff contender.
Yeah.
So like I said, if there's a middle area between B minus and C plus, that's kind of where I am. This for me gives them a B plus. Now I understand we still have a backup catcher to go get. Uh, I do think they'll probably end up moving either. Walker's going to be terribly hard to move just because
Mhm.
of the contract. He had a down season last year, and I think he's like 34. I mean, the easier guy to move is going to be Paredes, but that's going to sting more because you can get a haul back for Paredes because of the team control you have on him, especially with the lockout probably or the CBT ending at the end of the season coming up. Um, or you can move Jake Myers and either go get your backup catcher or a bullpen guy. So as right now, I think this move for me probably bumps them up to a B plus. And I know that could just be, oh, Homer Chris B plus. Why don't you just give him an A plus? But I mean, like from what I expected, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to go spend $500 million on players. I mean, that's kind of not their MO. And going back to this Japanese pitcher, Imai, they have been scouting him since he was in high school. So they
Yeah.
have 10 years of scouting on this kid. And this is pre Dana Brown, pre Click. I mean, this goes back to Luno. I mean, so the fact that we got this kid and we've been scouting him since high school, I mean, that kind of tells you that they've been interested in him for a hot minute. So I don't know, PK. So you said B minus. So where does Imai give you your grade as of today?
I mean, it moves it up to the next level, right? So just be a flat B, right? I mean, it moves the needle that way. Um, again, it's not even controlling. It's not. This one would be a move in the fact of actually directly improving your starting rotation by the signing, right? Because we talked about it before. You had all the opt outs. We don't know if he's going to even finish year 2 and year 3 here. The hope is that he does, right? He is a Boris client. We know, from years and years of dealing with that man how it goes with the Astros and his players, right? Go back to Beltran just to start the last one, the first one that really, for me, really, cemented the name Boris as a really hated agent, right? But one of the things I did see on X was that Boris was impressed with what the Astros did with Yusei last season, the improvements that Yusei made while he was with us, right? And in turn, got his client more money,
Paid.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And so now he did go to LA and he did lose. So he sacrificed the winning for money. But these are ball players, right? I mean, they are at the end of the day trying to make the most money they can in the small amount of time that career allows them to. Understandable, right? So with it being a client, no control other than 1 year at a time, right? But from a paper standpoint, stat wise, it does move the needle for me to to a flat B, because you've got a top 3 rotation that if Christian Javier comes back to 23 Javier, 22 Javier, right? And you've got Hunter Brown as a cemented ace on this staff, right? We know what we're getting with Brown. And if Imai, or however you want to say his name, I don't know how we need to figure that out. But with him coming on, and if he lives up to the hype that we're hoping, you've got a 3-headed monster every 5 days. You've got a quality starting pitching going out there, a guy that can stop a losing streak, right? Or continue a winning streak, or give the bullpen a day off because he's going to go 6 or so innings, right? And if you have those 3 guys at the top, this team is set up for a really big 2026. So that's what it moves it up for me. We could be curious to see what it does for Bryles when he gets back. But yeah, man, I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped about it. We'll see what the next few weeks have in store. See if there's any kind of moves, but this was definitely a good way to start the new year.
Absolutely.
It's still hard for me to comprehend the fact that we actually, went after a player that was posted, to be honest with you, but like you said, they've been eyeing this kid for, 10 years since he was in high school. I think there was one other team that had also been scouting him for a long time. It was a National League team, I believe. So there's been interest in this guy for a minute. Again, I love the fact that he doesn't want to join the Dodgers. He wants to beat them, right? And so, he'll get his opportunity. I hope that's the plan, at least.
Yeah, and absolutely. And what better team to go to than, I would probably say, Dodger fans, probably outside of the Giants, team that they hate the absolute most, the Astros. So, I mean, it's crazy. I know the Giants were in on them, the Padres were in on them. So yeah, man, I'm pumped, man. Like, we need to fast forward this time, man. Bring on spring training. I'm ready to go.
Let's go. Get this thing going. But hey, man, that's all for the show. I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on X at Juice_Box Heroes, on TikTok, Juice Box Heroes there. Of course, I believe we're on Instagram. So make sure and YouTube, please like and subscribe. We've had a lot of new subscribers here lately, so we really appreciate the support, people listening. Hope you guys have a great, what's today? Today is Thursday. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy this new year. We'll be back on Sunday. I believe Chris will not be with us. Homer Chris will be on Sunday. So me and Bryles will hold it down. But until then, have a great rest of your evening. Have a great weekend. Go Astros. Let's go and get this banner hung back out there in left field. Until then,
I like it.
I'm PK. That's Homer Chris, and this is the Juice Box Heroes.
Happy New Year's, everybody. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Where's your phone at?